Melody, Martell, and Arian has now entered a much more serious stage. This is no longer just social media drama, interviews, or online back and forth. Recent reports indicate that attorneys are now involved, and once legal action enters the picture, everything changes. A legal notice is not the same as a post, caption, or interview. It represents a formal claim that boundaries have been crossed in a legal sense, not just emotionally. Today, we're breaking down what this development truly means, why it matters, and how it completely alters the direction of a story that has played out publicly for years. To understand why this moment is so important, we need to look back at the history between these three individuals. For a long time, the situation involving Melody, Martell, and Arian unfolded in the public eye. What started as rumors and speculation about infidelity eventually turned into confirmed separation, divorce filings, and court proceedings that drew intense public interest. Social media became the main stage for the conflict. Interviews, Instagram lives, vague captions, and constant fan debates kept the story alive long after the marriage officially ended. Many people followed every detail as if it were a reality television storyline. But while the audience debated and speculated online, real lives were being affected in ways that social media discussions could never fully reflect. The divorce marked a major shift for Melody. She appeared to focus on rebuilding her life step by step, prioritizing her children, her businesses, and her personal growth. Unlike Martell and Arian, who continued speaking publicly, Melody largely stayed silent. To many observers, this silence looked like she had completely moved on. However, silence in situations like this is often misunderstood. It doesn't always mean inaction. Sometimes it reflects careful observation, patience, and preparation for a response that goes beyond emotions. That distinction becomes clearer now that legal paperwork has reportedly been issued. When a legal notice is involved, the situation becomes concrete and enforceable. This isn't about opinions anymore, it's about accountability. While fans may have grown used to public commentary and indirect statements, the involvement of attorneys makes everything real. Every statement, caption, and interview can now carry legal weight. According to reports, the legal notice addresses serious concerns such as defamation, harassment, and interference. Defamation doesn't require direct accusations. Even indirect comments can qualify if they damage someone's reputation. Harassment is defined by repeated behavior, not just one statement, especially when it creates emotional distress or public pressure. Interference refers to actions that negatively impact someone's business, brand, or professional image, which can have significant financial consequences for public figures. Once a legal notice is delivered, ignorance is no longer an excuse. Any behavior that continues after that point can be viewed as intentional, which dramatically shifts how the situation is judged legally. This changes the entire dynamic. What stands out most is how quietly and deliberately Melody handled this step. There was no dramatic announcement, no emotional social media post, and no attempt to rally public support. This wasn't a reaction, it was a strategic move that signals boundaries, control, and self-protection. For years, Melody endured public commentary about her marriage, her personal life, and even her parenting without responding online. While critics may frame legal action as controlling or silencing, it raises an important question. If nothing harmful was happening, why would legal intervention be necessary? Supporters see this move as overdue. From their perspective, it's about protecting not just Melody, but also her children and her professional interests. In situations involving public figures, silence paired with documentation is often the strongest approach. Observing behavior, tracking patterns, and gathering evidence allows someone to act effectively without fueling public drama. Meanwhile, even though Melody remained quiet, commentary about her did not stop. Martell continued giving interviews, often presenting himself as misunderstood. Arian's posts became increasingly pointed, referencing being silenced or finally telling her truth. At first, many people brushed these off as emotional expression or dramatic language. Over time, however, patterns emerged. Posts often appeared around Melody's personal or professional milestones, suggesting repetition and intent. From a legal standpoint, patterns matter far more than isolated incidents. Legal action is rarely based on a single post. It's built on consistent behavior that shows intent, impact, and timing. This likely played a major role in Melody's decision to act, as repeated references can be documented through screenshots, dates, and context. Reports suggest the situation escalated further when online commentary began referencing sensitive topics, including Melody's parenting and indirect mentions involving children. When minors are involved, even indirectly, legal boundaries become much stricter. Statements about parenting, especially when repeated or insinuating, can cause long-term emotional and reputational harm. Many observers believe this was the final line that made legal action unavoidable. Once attorneys are involved, everything changes. Social media posts are no longer just content, they can become evidence. Interviews, captions, and comments that once seemed harmless may now be reviewed carefully. Continuing harmful behavior after receiving a legal notice can be seen as deliberate defiance, potentially leading to more serious consequences. Since the reported legal action, there has already been a noticeable shift online. Activity has slowed, posts are more vague, language has become cautious, lives have shortened or stopped altogether. This is a common response when legal advice enters the picture. Lawyers typically advise restraint, not emotional reactions. The noise fades because the stakes are real. What once felt like entertainment now carries real-world consequences. The tone has changed. The public is watching more closely, not for drama, but to see what happens next. Melody's patience and strategic approach have transformed the narrative from emotional back and forth into a matter of accountability and boundaries. This situation goes beyond past drama. It highlights how public figures must navigate personal conflict in the digital age. Setting boundaries doesn't require public fights. Protecting peace doesn't require explanations. Sometimes the strongest response is quiet action backed by preparation. For Melody, this step is about the future. It's about protecting her children, her reputation, and her work. For Martell and Arian, it marks a shift where every word carries potential consequences. This is no longer about who speaks the loudest online. It's about understanding that real laws apply beyond social media. As the story continues, every post, interview, and statement will be examined more carefully. Opinions can now become evidence. Freedom of speech comes with responsibility.